Hi everybody, this is Warren from the Raps Piano Studio. Welcome to today's lesson. Going to help you learn to play Demons by Imagine Dragons. This is going to be for intermediate piano. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to catch whenever I go live and all the daily videos that I put out, helping you to learn the music you want at piano and giving you the tools you need to succeed in practice. Okay. Also, after the tutorial is done, this video is done, make sure you click the links in the cards as well as the description because I put links to the tutorial and also the sheet music, okay? So get the sheet music and learn along with the tutorial after this lesson. Or you get the sheet music and come back to this lesson, okay? This lesson is basically step-by-step practice instructions. I'm showing you how to practice here. And if you really memorize and internalize all the things that I'm showing you in these lessons, then you're able to use the tutorials. It can totally work. I see it every day because I personally teach my students, and that's how they make a lot of progress. Is I teach them how to practice. It's just basically at the lessons I teach them how to practice. They learn the things, and then they're able to kind of learn ahead with the music if they want using the tutorials. Okay. All right, go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you how to practice this. Hi. Hi, Morgan. How's it going? You don't have the sheet? Yeah. We'll work on this some other time. I don't want to give you too much stuff to work on. Yeah. Morgan is on my channel right now. She's one of my students in real life. Okay. All right. So basically, that's the first step of practicing. You want to pick the shortest section possible that basically, the easiest way possible, simplest way possible, okay? Because if you do like the whole song, it's really not a good way to practice. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes, and then you also have to, a lot of things like concentration come into play. So you want to pick smallest chunk possible first. It's kind of like if you're eating a pizza. What do you have to do first? You divide it up. I don't think I've ever gotten a pizza where it's not sliced, right? So you want to think the same way, and when we're thinking about music, we're learning at the piano. Okay, so this was from the beginning. No measured numbers, so I will give you words. All right, beginning, when the days are cold, then all fail. So we stopped at that measure, okay? We just go back, and usually if you want, sometimes you also have to keep in mind where you want to do hands separate or hands together. And this one, I'm just gonna do hands together because there's not a lot going on in the left hand. Yeah, it's just a bunch of whole notes there, so it's not necessarily something you need to practice, okay? Now if you just show you again, the left hand, so you might just want to practice left hand, and then we're going to practice hands together. Let me show you one more time, we'll go back to both hands. Okay, now listen to both hands again. Last measure, you see I have to play this, the melody comes down to the E flat, you just share it with the left hand. Make sure you let go. Okay, alright, let's try this together. Ready, go. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Go for it, Morgan. It's totally not necessary, but yeah, I think it would be a good challenge to try to play this. Actually, another challenge, maybe you could try to play it without the sheet music, right? Okay. So next part, all fail. Okay. So if you look at the left hand, it's the same exact pattern. Now the last measure, we just have these notes. Some eighth notes there. So that's actually, if we're talking about being efficient in piano practice as well. So you pick a small section, right? And then you notice here, this is also there's a lot of reasons why you do this, and I'll go through these if they come up, right? Sometimes they don't come up at every lesson, but here for sure, it's pretty much an exact repeat, both in the right hand and left hand, very similar. So here, you just want to focus on what's different. Don't practice on what's the same unless you need to keep doing it until it becomes automatic, right? So what's different? This last part. So it's just that last bit of this section, okay? Okay, try it with me. Ready, and... Okay, then if you look at, again, I said the right hand was pretty much the same. I'm just taking a quick glance. Yeah, so not much difference here. You just kind of end, all right, so... No, actually it's the same. All right, the melody is pretty much the same here too. Okay, so the only part that's different is that in the left hand. Okay, so this part we're gonna practice both hands again, and it's pretty much the same thing as the beginning. Okay, listen. Let's try it together. Ready, go. So again, the basic idea on one of the most important reasons on why you want to do small parts at a time is just what I showed you here. Sometimes it's the same thing. So if you practice the whole thing from the beginning to the end, you're going to play sections that are totally the same, and you're going to waste your time. So you need to be saving time when practicing as well. All right? Now we're going to go all the way back to the beginning, and then put these two sections together, these two chunks if you want to think of them that way. Listen first and then try it with me. All right, here we go from the beginning. Ready, go. Alright, so that's the basic, these are the very basic, most important steps on how to practice efficiently. And then as we go on in the lesson, there's going to be some little details here and there that are a little bit different and show you some hacks and whatnot if we come across it. But that's the main idea. You pick one part, you do hand separate if necessary. You do the next part, hand separate if necessary. Then put it together, and slowly you put more and more sections together until you have the whole song or piece that you're playing. And this is for every song, every level, every genre. Okay, next part. Let me do that. It's so small here. Let me try it again. Okay. Kind of hard for me to see this sometimes. I'm zooming out here for you guys so I don't have to deal with like scrolling all the time. Okay, so we have some, this is that in the left hand. That might not be actually easier to play both hands together, but I'll show you how the rhythm goes separately, and then we'll do it together. So just to make it simple, yeah, we're gonna practice this part, hands separate, hands together. The rhythm might be really hard to kind of to really feel, right? Because you know, when you do hands together here, the parts feed off each other, so it's actually easier to keep the rhythm. But it's kind of complicated what's going on here. So I do want to break down left hand, right hand, and it actually is very challenging to do this section left hand or right or hands separate. Okay, stumbling on my words today. Hands separate because you really have to feel that rhythm, that rhythmic impulse even more securely, I guess. All right, here we go with the left hand. sounds kind of odd because what you have here, if you want to examine it, be a little bit nerdy and analytical, we have a dotted eighth note and a 16th note. So sometimes when you have these, what makes it even more difficult, you have a dotted eighth note and a 16th. It's tied into the next quarter note. Okay, so when you tie it into a main beat, it becomes even more difficult to count. Okay, so when you have these, what I recommend to do first, if you're practicing hand separate here, is to just take out the tie. Right? So then you can really feel the rhythm a lot more clearly that way, right? Alright, so do that with me first, and then what this does is when you put the tie back in, it still kind of creates this little imprint where you feel the rhythm a lot more clearly, okay? Alright, so try that with me. We're going to take the tie out. Ready, go. Okay, one thing I want to mention, when you have repeated notes, make sure your wrist is nice and loose. So you might, if you didn't do that too well, you can go ahead and hit the pause button, but you know, you're holding this at the same time, but you don't want to stay, you know, sometimes when we hold notes, what's really hard is making sure the rest of your hand is still free, okay? So that is not easy to do. So most people, they just focus only on finger, but I'm kind of using my whole hand up and down. I'm using this kind of as a pivot, if that makes sense. All right, now we're gonna put the tie back in. Left hand, ready, go. Okay, so I hope that made it easier for you guys. All right, now on the right hand, here's how the rhythm goes. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. Let's try it together. All right, there's the eighth rest here. So if you're having a little hard time coming in with me, that's because we're not starting right on the beat. There's like a half beat delay because of that eighth note rest. Okay, here we go. Ready, go. Or actually, I should say you gotta come in faster than usual. Okay, ready, go. Okay, now I'm gonna break this down. You hear that? Right, so now when you do both hands together, what I talked about is making it a little bit easier to understand. Is because when the right note comes in here, this 16th note into the tie, it's just in between. Okay? Alright, so when you put it together, it's kind of like you have puzzle parts by itself. You put the whole puzzle together, okay, now it makes sense. And it does this in every measure in this section, okay? Alright, so give it a listen. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Let's try it together. I'll go a lot slower. Ready, go. Also remember, if I go too fast for you guys, there's this thing called the playback speed. You can always go back and watch it in slower time. Always adjust to the speed that it works for you, okay? Because I do tend to go fast at these lessons just because I don't want to make them as long as possible. I want you guys to get in, get out. If you need to watch it a bit later, that's fine. You can hit that playback speed, okay? Here's the next part. So if you want to hear what exactly is different here, well, the right hand is pretty much the same, but having the more notes on the bottom, you can kind of think about it as a little bit more harmony here. let's try this before looking at the left hand. And then there is a little rest there, so you're gonna have to come in sooner than usual. Ready, go. Okay, now on the left hand, see, up to this is still the same. So instead, I would skip these two measures and then play the last two measures, because again, we're talking about you want to play what is different, not what is the same. So this is my kingdom come. This is my kingdom come. Alright, so there's this part, and play for you one more time. Try it together. Ready, go. Okay, now we're gonna go back and put it together both hands. Alright, so before we try this together, alright, let's try it together first. I'll give you a couple extra expert, advice. Here we go. No matter what we breathe. Here we go. Left hand, right hand, hands together. Ready, go. Alright, so what I was about to say is this seems like an awful lot of information, alright? So I understand if you want to play with me at the piano at the same time, but I highly recommend not only these lessons, but every other lesson that I post. The newer ones are better because I'm getting better at this live streaming stuff. Take notes. That's a lot of things that students don't do, okay? Because one of the things that's easier with starting with a piano teacher is if you have a good piano teacher, they're writing the effective notes for you, telling you exactly where to practice. Although in a sense, the way I teach, I'm trying to get them, my own students, and yourself to kind of come up with your own instructions, because you don't want to depend on a teacher. You want to think them as a tool, and the tool is supposed to help you. You don't depend on a tool, okay? So all these notes right here, all the things that I'm saying, if you want to do yourself a favor, go back and write them down. I think about 80% of you are not going to want to do that, just because our human nature is to be kind of lazy and not too hard to work. Yeah, and it does feel a little difficult planning, but if you do 5-10 minutes of planning, you need to think long term. Over like a month when you're practicing, that might save you like a few hours. Okay, so yeah, it might take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, not 5 to 10. Sometimes the first time you do it, you're like, what exactly should I write down, right? Write really extensive detailed notes. It will save you tons of time in the future. Okay, now we're gonna go back and put this entire section together. From I Wanna Hide the Truth, okay? A really awkward scroll here, so hopefully I can get it without, messing up the playing. Here we go. So I'll give you both hands separate, and hands together. I was trying to play that by ear, but I totally forgot that last measure. Okay. All right, now I'll go back and, if you can guess, hands separate, hands together. Okay, so right hand, left hand, hands together. It really is that simple of a process, okay? Here's just the right hand. Okay, try it together. Remember the rest. You're gonna come in sooner. Ready, go. Back to the left hand. remember to, if you're kind of losing that rhythm, all right, because you have to practice this a bunch of times until it actually becomes a part of you. Just you play it one time, it's not like you're gonna automatically have that rhythm for the rest of your life, right? Sometimes you have to keep practicing over and over again. And you know, even someone like Michael Jordan, at the height of their career, if they stop playing basketball for like a few months, he would kind of forget things, right? So same thing here. You have to repeat over and over until it becomes automatic. So take the tie out again if you're kind of losing that rhythm, and then practice that way. Then go back, put the tie back in. Okay, here we go. Left hand. We're gonna do it with the tie. Ready, go. Okay. Checking the notes if I got that right. Okay. Now back to both hands. Scroll. Okay, here. There we go. Okay, let's try it together. Ready, go. So if you're counting, how many sections do we have so far? 2, because we had the beginning, and then this is kind of in the middle, and then we're going to continue on, probably like a third section plus an ending or something like that, because most songs like this, most songs you hear on the radio, like pop song or rock song, whatever, usually the form is pretty simple, okay? And it doesn't mean it's like, simple doesn't mean dumb, by the way, okay? So I actually like this song a lot. It's really cool. All right, but yeah, you want to think of it if you're writing a paper, we have like intro, body, and ending. So in much the same way, you have to understand form to really make good progress with piano. All right, Chalky, how's it going, my friend? Yeah, all right. I was wondering if something happened to you, so good to see you, man. Yeah. Okay, here's the next part. When you feel my heat is hot out there. It's pretty cool out here, I have to say. All right, here's the next part. When you feel my heat. Ah, look at that, hot heat. Ah, I'm a nerd. Let's split that up. Okay, I went a little bit too far. I get a little carried away. So here, definitely, I think it might be kind of what's challenging about this section in the right hand. A lot more notes, okay, like chords. So this might be a place that you really have to practice really well. Okay, I'm just scrolling on to see how many pages we have left. All right, we're about halfway there. Okay, so my friends, if you're still with me and still listening, I'm assuming I'm doing a good job for you guys. And if you feel so, hit that like button, really does help me out. And after this video is done, go ahead and share this video, or you can hit the pause button and share right now. I would love you very, very, very much. Put it that way. Okay, right hand. I don't know why I sound like a Korean, like a. I don't want to say fob. Okay. Anyway, fob. All right, here we go. Right hand. Okay, so this is basically the same melody. We're just adding more notes here, okay? But yeah, this part might take a bit of practice for you guys, just because we have more notes. I'll show you the different chords. Yeah, and actually, it just kind of stumbled upon a easier way to hack this practice here in the right hand. Instead of playing all the notes, just get comfortable switching to each part as fast as possible. Okay, so if you can do that with me, then going back, it should be a little bit easier. So let's actually do that, okay? Ready, go. So we're kind of figuring out the basic pattern first. Okay, now we go back and play it normally, give it a listen. Okay, try this with me. We're starting on the beat, so you don't have to come in fast, just with me at the same time. Ready, go. Okay, now back to the left hand. What do you have going on here? Am I on? Hope my view. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure the camera's catching all that. Okay, still there. Yeah, sorry, that note didn't come out. That's alright. I was just checking the screen because sometimes I don't like it when I forget to put like on the fisheye on my camera and then, you know, like a lot of notes don't come out. But luckily that is not the case. Okay, let's try it together. Left hand, ready, go. Okay, back to both hands. Okay, let's try it together. Ready, go. Okay, moving on to the next section. I'm just gonna guess that it's pretty similar, if not the same. Okay, so this is from Don't Get Too Close. Back to the beginning. Little repeat there. You can choose to take that if you want. All right. So sometimes repeats aren't always necessary. It's just, you want to play it, go ahead. I'm gonna skip the repeat, of course, because we're just gonna be going back and playing the same thing. And why would you do that? So don't do that when you're practicing as well. Okay. Don't get too close. Right, left hand is pretty much the same. So we're gonna skip this. We're gonna look at the right hand. It's pretty much the same harmonies, same melody, but the rhythm and the switching is a little bit different enough that I kind of want to show you here. Okay, here's the right hand. So that immediately we have that kind of jump. I think you're gonna take some time to practice this over and over again, right? The way to practice a jump, this is not much of a jump, but it's a little leap, I guess, but it's enough to warrant some type of practice. So you want to play slowly, then move as fast as possible. See that? Back and forth maybe. And then over time, it'll just become natural, okay? Alright, so let me show you. I'm just going to play this part for you now. Okay, try it together. Don't get too close. Ready, go. Anytime, Chalky. Yeah, and then, man, one of my future goals, if I had more time, you know, because these videos take a lot of time, these live streams take a lot of time. It's on my goal list for sure. Like I want to create like a practice guide, hopefully like a PDF. Maybe I could share with you guys sometime. Yeah, or like a practice, maybe even a page where I just list out all the things, all the ways to practice. I should do that. I definitely will do that sometime in the future when I have more time. Okay, help you guys as much as possible. All right, back to both hands. Be a good idea. Like maybe like my top 10, top 20 ways to practice or something like that. Okay, all right, back to both hands. Don't get too close. Let's try it together. Ready, go. Okay, so you would go back and put this whole entire section together. don't really feel like doing that right now because I want to move on with the lesson, okay? But you know, when you're practicing this, go back to when you feel my heat. So this is a section to put together. So second, was this third section? Okay, let me go back to the beginning. We had that first section, then we had the second section, and this third section was just basically like the second section, but adding more notes, right? The chorus, I would say, like continuing the chorus with more notes. Okay, so basically we have kind of like 3 big sections so far if you're thinking about how to divide it. Okay, all right, what page was that for? Okay, going on with the rest of this song, we're gonna go past the repeat now, the second ending. I'm gonna start right from the second ending. The reason why you want to start right from that second ending, because that's a little transition. Okay, you don't want to skip over that part because you have to waste time practicing it later. Didn't read that right. There we go. Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry, I got the notes right there. So if you hear this part is pretty much the same thing as the melody, just change. It's just taking the main idea of the melody and just doing something slightly different. Okay. So let's compare a little bit. What did it do before here? It's nice to kind of go back and play, right? So actually the previous section is a lot more going on here. Here it kind of simplifies it. Okay, so it's really not jumping all over the place. Kind of good to analyze a little bit sometimes, not all the time, okay? All right, I'll just do the right hand for you here. Okay, simple enough. Try it together. There's a rest on that first beat. So come in with me a little bit faster. Ready, go. Okay, left hand. Alright, so this part, I would actually practice blocking all those notes together, because again, going back to the same idea when we're doing going from note to note or pattern to pattern, you just want to get used to the motion first, moving one pattern to the next, and then go back and do that. Okay, so try this with me. E flat major chord, B flat octave with the note in the middle. We have a C minor 7th. If you want to analyze the rhythm or the melody, okay. Then we have this is kind of like a suspension. A flat. I mean, it says A flat. I feel like this is still E major. Like yeah. You know what? The way they wrote this, I think the harmony is wrong here. They wrote A flat. You added 2. I don't think that's an A flat. Anyway, I'm just kind of nitpicking here. You know, it's an awesome arrangement regardless, but I think this part is E flat suspension. That's the way I hear it. Okay. All right. Okay. So now we go back and play it normally. Play it first. Try it together. Ready, go. Back to both hands. I'm gonna assume it's the same. So left hand, same thing. You do not have to practice the left hand in this section. We're just going to look at the right hand. Okay, so this part we're gonna practice right hand, hands together. Okay, there is your eyes, they shine so bright. Right hand, there is a rest, so faster. Ready, go. Okay, back to both hands now. Go slower now. Ready, go. I missed that. Okay, then you go back and put this whole entire section together. But I'm going to skip that for time's sake. We're going to continue on and finish up this song. We have this little last ending part here. And then when we get there, if you want to stick around, I will give you a quick recap because this is a good idea to kind of repeat at the end of each session that you're learning, the things that you learned for that day. It's something I always make sure to do every lesson. Just like, okay, what did we work on today? Well, sometimes not all the time, right? But it's good to review, like, what did we work on today? If this is your first time watching a lesson, that is. If you know these principles, you can just skedaddle after the lesson is over. But if you really want to understand these concepts, you gotta stick around for the recap, okay? All right, yeah, Chucky, you are definitely a veteran on this channel, so no worries, mate. I will see you next time. Okay, here's the last part. So if you notice that, guess what? It's kind of the same. Just like maybe one note here and there that's a little bit different. The left hand, you definitely don't really need to practice much. It's a bunch of single bass notes with the same rhythm. The right hand is pretty much the same as well. That might be the only part that's different in the melody, okay? Everything else looks pretty much the same to me. So we're going to reach the end of this lesson faster than expected, okay? So that's it for today's lesson. Thank you guys so much. And if you're sticking around for this recap, shows just how serious you are about piano practice. Awesome, good for you. So this was Demons, intermediate piano. Pretty long arrangement, but not as long as you think. See, my dogs agree. Just because of the fact that a lot of music is repetitive. Okay, and that's also why you want to practice one small part at a time, one chunk at a time. Okay. So first step of the process, pick the smallest part possible. Sometimes it's 4 measures, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 3. It's not always an exact number. You have to listen to the song and the piece that you are practicing, kind of listen and then make your own judgment call on it, okay? All right, so once you have that small part, you want to practice hands separate if necessary, air quotes, if necessary. It's not always necessary, okay? Because I showed you in the beginning part. Why does this keep on doing that? Weird. Okay, so it's kind of laggy. I hope it's not. I hope you guys aren't having issues hearing me. If so, I'm sorry. Okay, sometimes the internet goes out. All right, so for instance, in the beginning, I just showed you left hand. We really didn't practice that much because it was just a few notes here and there. Okay, so I don't know how much practice is necessary. So that part, I just pretty much showed you the left hand. And we did hands together. So sometimes you're going to do hands separate and then go back to hands together. Sometimes you're just going to practice the right hand and then hands together. Other times, maybe just the left hand and hands together. So just always think about which kind of combination that you really do need. Okay? All right. And after you do that, I'm going to stand up because my laptop is going weird. It's freaking me out. Okay, so after you have that section done, you just move on to the next chunk Practice hands separate, hands together if necessary, whatever combination that you need. Then you just go back and link it to the part before, and then you just put it together, okay? Bigger and bigger sections. Then over time, you work it up till you have the entire song, okay? And then remember, one of the most important things is that sections do tend to repeat. So the biggest, I guess the biggest useful thing that I wanted to teach you guys today, the reason why you want to practice small sections at a time, don't practice what's the same, focus on what is different. That way you save your time and you don't like kind of waste your time practicing something that you've already done, okay? Because I think that's one of the biggest sins of practice, is just totally wasting your time. Unless you just want to play a part that's enjoyable and you like it a lot, that's fine. But then are you just playing it because it's easy for you, or are you kind of procrastinating on the difficult parts? That's something to think about, right? All right, okay. Anyways, that was it for today's lesson. Make sure you check out the sheet music, the tutorial, hit the subscribe button. Also like this video and share this video if you are so inclined. I appreciate you guys a lot. Hope to continue to sound like I'm looping there. Hope to continue to give you these lessons. I hope they're valuable for you. Really showing you the ins and out on how to play piano effectively. So take it for what it's worth. Okay, thank you guys so much. Yeah, you're right at the end, but it's okay, man. Better late than never. Nice to see you again, Taku, aka Shiba. All right, I'll catch you on the next live stream. I'll see. Next one is gonna be Saturday. No worries, man. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for that, man. It made me laugh. Okay. All right. I will see you guys next time. Happy practicing. Have a great, wonderful, safe, healthy week.